All right, we're back at it with a body gain video, fellas. We're gonna talk about how getting on body gain, getting lean, losing fat is gonna upgrade your life in every single aspect. And I'm talking about, you got the obliques showing, you got the abs showing, got the shoulder waist ratio, what I'm saying? You got the aura, all of that. All right, I'm not talking about just you lose some weight here and there, because misconception, by the way, when it comes to the getting lean stuff. People think getting lean means losing weight. It really doesn't. It means losing body fat. Huge difference. While having some muscle mass, so when you lose the fat, you don't look skinny fat or you look like a bag of milk or some shit. Now, who this video is not for? It's not for men who are comfortable staying average. Obviously, this ain't gonna be for you. This is not for men avoiding responsibility, which is literally a lot of dudes these days. Because responsibility, accountability go hand in hand. You're going to need accountability to execute your goals, to accomplish your goals, to be consistent, to stop your bad habits, to create your good habits, right? Because if you don't hold yourself accountable, if you depend on external motivation, external accountability, you will never be successful. All right. Anyone looking for surface level changes, listen, that goofy shit is not going to happen. You need to make an identity shift to actually fucking reach your goals and stay at your goals. If you're unwilling to build discipline, goodbye. Men attach to excuses, right? Like, oh, like eating healthy is too expensive. Probably the goofiest shit I ever heard, because if you eat in the deficit and you eat the same shit every day, guess what? That shit's cheap as hell. All right. Now, my food budget hasn't changed in like the past 7 years, bro. Or no, past 4 years. Even when I went to Thailand, it was the same thing, because beef is a little bit more expensive over there. But yeah, it's been the same food budget since then, because I'm eating basic stuff, right? Like I tell you, I'm not eating grass-fed, organic, green eggs and ham and shit like you guys expect me to eat or something. I'm eating ground beef, ground turkey, high fiber wraps, rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, simple shit. Now, who this video is for, men who want a full life upgrade, and I mean full life upgrade, everything, because yes, your income is going to go up when you get in shape, most likely, right? Your aura is going to go up, confidence is going to go up, dating options is going to go up, respect from men, it's all going to go up, self-confidence in general is going to go up as well. Men who value discipline. So a lot of people know that when it comes to coaching, like, people who play high school sports, college sports, you know that you became the best version of yourself when you're pushed past your limits, when you're coached correctly, right? Because discipline compounds, discipline builds, and discipline creates the best version of yourself. Men who want confidence backed by action, men willing to raise your standards, you will always do what your bare minimum standards are. So if you don't raise your standards, you can't change your identity. You can't actually get your results, all right? So the reason fat loss is this picture cooks me every time, bro. This picture cooks me every time, bro. I don't know what's going on here, but don't ask me. But anyways, fat loss is an identity upgrade, because you're keeping these promises to yourself, right? Which is spiritual, mental, emotional, right? Because a lot of us give ourselves promises every single day, every single week. I've known people for 7 years been DMing me, and obviously they're probably telling themselves this, but they're like, man, I'm gonna lose these 20 pounds of fat this year. Realistically, they got 40 pounds to lose, but they're like, I'm gonna lose this 20 pounds of fat this year. I'm gonna lose it. They do the same thing every year, for the first 5 pounds, might lose 10 pounds and then they quit every single time. So they can't keep promises to themselves. So there's a disconnect. There's a character issue, but also they can't confide in themselves. They can't trust themselves. Their self-esteem is going to be cooked. All right, because your confidence is going to increase when you can confide in yourself. Because what do I always tell you guys? The definition, very definition of confidence is literally just confiding in yourself. That's all it is. All right, so discipline is going to strengthen, right? Because it's a skill. It's not something born. I think a lot of people think it's something that's born. It is literally a skill. Your self-respect is going to grow, which is also going to increase your standards. How many of you guys who have started locking in, started working your ass off, started accomplishing all this shit, are realizing how hard it is, but also realizing how fulfilling it is and how much you value your own time and own routine, have raised your standards? Most of you guys have, right? Once you start valuing your own peace, your own routine, you seeing how much you accomplish, value your own time, your standards are going to go up, right? You're not dealing with bullshit. Mental clarity. All right. So less brain fog, better focus, better decisions, more energy, sharper thinking. These are all things that's going to happen when you reduce the amount of fat that is circulating in your blood. All right. It's literally physiological. All right. It's not that deep, but also you're going to make better decisions when you start realizing the results you're getting from losing fat all require delayed gratification. So then you're going to be like, dang, I've been chasing instant gratification. Maybe I should start chasing delayed gratification. And then there you go. You're going to make better decisions overall because of that, right? You're going to have confidence without arrogance. All right. Shout out to the best receiver of all time. He's my GOAT. I know you guys have different GOATs here and there. This is my GOAT. Now, Jamar Chase might surpass him one day, but this is my GOAT at the current moment. Anyways, you're going to have that quiet confidence, right? Because no matter what, AB was pretty garbage at a lot of things, right? Off the field, not on the field. Off the field, he was garbage at a lot of things, but on the field, work ethic was unmatched. He had the quiet confidence, right? Because he knew what he was doing. He's confident what he was doing. He's confident in his craft, right? You're gonna have stronger presence. You're gonna have calm assertiveness, internal validation, and this all right here, all this confidence without arrogance, the quiet confidence, the better posture, right? That's your physique speaking before you do. Because before you say anything, your physique gonna speak first. All right, that's number one. Number two is that is what aura entails. The calm assertiveness, that's what aura entails. So when you go on, for y'all fellas, all right, when you go on your first date, you got this calm confidence, this strong presence. Guess what? That comes from having confidence in what you're doing. Chicks are going to be able to pick up on that. All right, straight up. Now, speaking of that right here, because I remember this date very clearly. Anyways, social and dating benefits, better first impressions, improved attraction, more respect when you're lean, when you got the B table, better eye contact, increased options, right? Because listen, this was a nice little day. You know what I mean? Some steak and wine. That's the only date I do steak and wine. But just on the entire date, there was she had hella attraction to me, hella respect, and I was giving eye contact, all that stuff, man. Right? Your first impression though is gonna be different when you are locked in on what you need to do and you present yourself as the best version of yourself consistently. Because at the end of the day, if right now, at this moment, let's just say whenever we're watching your video, if tonight you put on your best button down or whatever, um, and then you go on at a date, how do you look? You have a haircut? Are you groomed well? Do you have a shoulder waist ratio? Or do you have a 40-inch waist? All right, like I'm talking about right now. All right, I don't care about the past. I'm not talking about the future. I'm talking about right now. So if you can't put on that button down and have that shoulder waist ratio, then you need to stop complaining and start working. All right, period. Because if right now I put on a button down or whatever, you're gonna see the V taper. First impression is gonna be what it is. If I didn't have a clean cut, I would get a clean cut. And yeah, it's gonna make a huge difference. All right, because a lot of people are so focused on maybe the past 5 years in the past, or where they're going to be in the future potentially. Which, if they don't do what they're doing now, they're not going to be there. But they don't really pay attention to the current, like where they are now. They're not aware of where they are because they'll be like, "Well, that's not fair. You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Bro, you have a 44-inch waist. You need to shut the fuck up and start working. Like that's ridiculous. Right? You can't hide that shit in anything you wear. Even if you were to wear, let's just say you wore a comforter for like a king size bed, you can still kind of see your stomach, bro. You know what I mean? So realistically, you need to lock in. Career and business impact. When you have higher self-belief, right, you're going to be able to take risks, but technically they're not going to be risks because you're going to follow through and do what you need to do, but you're going to be more confident, right, in your ability, which means, like I said, you'll be able to take, smaller risks, bigger risks, but you're going to back yourself up with action, all right? Going to be better communication, more leadership presence because the very nature of leading is to be able to lead yourself first. So that's what being in shape in general is a representation of. Because when you lead others, right, you want to be able to lead yourself first, right? So, for example, if I give someone advice on, hey man, when you're in the cut, if you feel a hunger pain, you need to push through it. I've done that 1,000 times, right? So I'm more comfortable giving that advice. But since I've been through it, I also know how to guide them through it as well, right? And how to minimize it as well. Higher fiber foods, more water, shit like that, right? And they're also going to believe me more because I speak with conviction because I have high self-belief because I've been through the situation. All right, very simple. Now, if I've never done that before, if I was fat as shit, I'm telling someone, hey man, just stuck out the hunger pains, they'd be like, why don't you do that? Right? There'd be no respect there. It'd be harder for me to lead. You see what I'm saying? That's how a lot of you guys are in your relationships. You're trying to tell a chick what to do, but you don't do it yourself. You're trying to tell her, man, you need to eat better. And she's looking at you. She's like, bro, your body fat percentage is higher than mine. Like that's how she's looking at a lot of you guys, right? That's how your girl's looking at you because you're not leading through action. All right. And discipline is also going to transfer. So once you're disciplined and fitness, you're going to start being disciplined in business. If you're doing an online business, guess what? You're going to be posting consistently, doing what you need to do. If you're doing like my friend was doing, what was he doing? E-commerce. He was doing e-commerce. All the discipline that he got from the working out, the delaying gratification, he used those same principles in, in that. Because if you're doing e-commerce, stock trading, day trading, options trading, Forex, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. You're going to have to delay gratification because your initial investment is going to require a lot, and you're going to have to be very, very consistent before you start seeing the results that everyone dreams of and everyone posts and shit like that. You're not going to get those results initially. Simple, right? Now, like I said, discipline is going to bleed literally everywhere. All right, because training in general builds structure builds consistency, consistency builds momentum, momentum builds confidence, confidence builds identity, and you're going to be more competent as well. So all of this goes together. All right. And when you realize that how you do anything is how you do everything, you being disciplined in the gym is going to bleed into you being disciplined at work, at your job. Health improvements, obviously, your fasting blood glucose, A1C is going to get better, lipid panels will get better, right? Blood pressure is going to get better, renal function is going to be more normal, all that stuff because you're doing what you need to do. You're going to have improved joint health when you're lifting weights, eating high protein, when you lose fat. Because here's the thing, the issue with body positivity is that it ignores health. All right. Because in reality, if you are obese, you're putting more stress on your joints because your skeleton doesn't grow. Only your fat around your skeleton grows. So that's more pressure on your joints. And people don't realize that, which is very weird to me. People will be like, hey man, like you think you can help me with joint health, or my elbows hurt, or my knees hurt, my hips hurt. You think you can help with my joint health? I'm like, bro, you're fat as shit. Just lose some fucking fat. And your joint health is going to go up. It's really not that deep. What do you expect? You have you only have so much, skeleton size. Like your skeleton size is not going to grow. Like just because you're 300 pounds, your skeleton size is not growing. All right. Only your fat's growing. You're meant to be maybe you're meant to be 180, right? Simple. Another thing is you're going to have higher testosterone, better sleep, and longevity is going to be improved as well. All right. Now, your energy levels are also going to go up. So if you're feeling, and I've noticed this for a lot of clients when they're starting out, they'll feel a lot of fatigue. They'll be tired. They'll have headaches all the time. It'll be hard for them to wake up and do their morning routine. They're going to have energy crashes. They're not going to have a lot of daily output, and the recovery is going to suck, right? And then when they start losing fat, building muscle, start eating what they need to eat, guess what? You increase your vitamin levels, and you're taking magnesium to get better sleep. You're losing excess fat, so you don't have as much, sleep apnea. Guess what? You're going to get deeper sleep, which is going to increase your recovery, which is going to increase your, or you're going to have less fatigue throughout the day as well, right? Which it means if you get better sleep, more quality sleep, not just quantity, you get better quality sleep, your mornings are going to be better. You're going to be more ambitious in the morning. You're going to be more willing to execute. Now, another thing is, as you see right here, self-respect in general is, very, very important. It's going to attract respect, and your standards are going to enforce behavior. Now, you never want to beg someone to be in your life. If you text, call, visit, and still get ignored, just walk away. All right, that's literally basic self-respect, and that's going to start to happen when you start to pour into yourself and become the best version of yourself. You're going to raise your standards in all aspects of life, and that's going to start to bleed into everywhere else, right? Your friends, family, relationships, all that stuff. Because your standards are going to enforce behavior. So if your standard is, hey, if I'm always texting first and this person's sending me short messages, they're disrespecting me, I'm going to remove them from their life. Because if you stay in the presence of disrespect, that is a sign that you don't respect yourself. Because anyone who respects himself, when they get disrespected, they remove themselves. It's that simple. All right. Because if you don't remove yourself from a situation where you're being disrespected in, that means you are accepting that you don't respect yourself. Simple. Now, your boundaries are going to strengthen, like I said, your identity is going to solidify, and your confidence is going to increase. Now, here is one of the main reasons men in general drift. It's because they don't have structure, they don't have standards, and they are addicted to their comforts. All right, very, very addicted to comfort, and they'll pick that over anything. Because at the end of the day, it's very easy to say stuff like, yeah, man, I'm gonna lock in. This is the time I lock in, man. I'm serious this time. But after a while, I mean, to even lock in and get your goals, you're gonna realize like, oh my gosh, bro, I have to sit in this discomfort. I have to do this uncomfortable thing. I have to do this, I have to do that. And guess what? You're gonna go right back to eating the ice cream, watching the football, playing the video games, watching the porn, doing all that stuff, right? Because comfort addiction, right? People avoid discomfort and they don't want to be held accountable. Now, what people don't realize is that structure creates freedom. Eating the same thing every day means fewer decisions. All right. Having a clear routine means more execution, more results. All right. Less chaos. Another thing is people who say they don't have time, they just don't budget their time properly. They're not disciplined. Because when you're disciplined and you budget your time properly, you start to realize, oh shit, I have more free time than I thought I did. Right? Realistically, people who say they don't have time, I've seen countless people who say they don't have time scrolling for hours on TikTok, watching all these movies, keeping up with their favorite celebrities, right? Because here's the thing, I see a lot of out of shape people complaining about Stranger Things, right? It's like, bro, who cares about Stranger Things? You look like a Stranger Thing, bro. Like you're 30% body fat, like lock in. You see what I'm saying? Simple. Now, the cost of inaction, realistically, especially as a man, like when you don't become the leanest version of yourself, you're gonna have a lot of missed opportunities, lower confidence, declining health. You're gonna have a lot of regret, and it's gonna affect your self-confidence, self-esteem, and it's gonna result in identity erosion. All right. Now, as far as being alone, it's very good to be comfortable being alone. However, if you stay alone and you don't listen to anybody else, you don't have friends bringing you in the same direction, you're going to end up not having course correction. You're not going to have feedback. You're going to have inconsistent effort, which I see a lot. A lot of people are inconsistent, year on and every single year. They're like, okay, I did some things I need to do, right? They're going to have emotional bias, like, I didn't eat that much. That's why people refuse to track a lot of times too, right? And that's why I always make my clients track, use a scale, because when they don't use a scale, they don't track, guess what? They're gonna be like, well, I feel like I deserve this. I'm like, I don't care what you feel like. Science doesn't give a fuck about how you feel. It only gives a fuck about what you're doing. All right. Coaching in general is going to remove friction. You're going to have clear standards, objective feedback. Now, when it comes to standards, I've noticed I always hold my clients to a high standard they hold themselves to. And that's the first issue. Their standards are too fucking low. I'm like, okay, here's the goal you said you want. You want to be on Body Game, V Shaper, V Taper, and have abs. Your standards are too low. Like you're okay with messing up on the weekend. You're okay with messing up on the holidays. You're not going to make it to that goal, right? Especially starting from where you're starting from. And that's why you are where you are, right? You need objective feedback. You need, hey, I know how you feel, but you overeat. That means you're not going to lose fat. You need that objective feedback because you're going to get faster progress, less wasted time, higher execution. Because the reason you get faster progress, by the way, which is funny, right? The reason you get faster progress is because when you focus on, when you're not like, when you don't have either a coach or you don't have people around you who are locked in where you want to be, you're going to end up attempting a lot of shortcuts, which guarantees that you're never going to reach your goals. Now, when you actually are around people who are locked in, you're going to start doing, the slower route, right? The only route that actually works, right? The long route. And then you're going to get faster progress because you're actually doing what you need to do. Just literally that simple. So 6 months down the line, someone who takes the quote unquote long road is going to be further than someone who did a bunch of shortcuts. Ironically, accountability is going to change the behavior. When you know that, someone is watching what you're doing, making sure you need to do what you need to do, you're going to be like, oh shit. Yeah, let me lock in, let me lock in. Because, the only reason, which is funny, the only reason some people have made changes in my program, which is funny, is because I annoy the shit out of them, right? Because they're like, man, this motherfucker is about to tell me, don't stop eating this goofy shit, stop messing up. But then they actually, lock in so they don't have to get, reprimanded or yelled at because they didn't do what they needed to do, right? And realistically, people need that sometimes. You need to know someone's like, hey man, stop eating that goofy shit. Because if I tell my homeboy like, I can't get lean, I can't get lean, they're like, yes you can, you're just being a bitch. You need that sometimes. You need that. Simple. Now, the reason fat loss will really upgrade your life is because it is a gateway skill. It is the basis of everything. Your body is the first thing that you get, guys. First thing that you got to take care of. Before you have to take care of a house, before you have to take care of a car, before you have to take care of a business, you got to take care of your body. So discipline is learned. Confidence is built during this process. Your identity changes. Perspective changes. You found out how to create momentum, right? And your life in general improves. Now, the people who thrive in this process are men who commit, men who follow structure, men who want change, men who take responsibility. Like I said, it's hand in hand with accountability, men who execute. Now, if you're ready to lock in, ready to reach your goals, ready to get lean, get on body game, V-taper, all that shit, link is in the description.